Okay, we're going to start with Basi Legani Tafshin Yud Aleph, and the Mitzvah Hashem every day between 10 and 15 minutes. A point, an idea of it, which you don't need to look inside, but just to get some nice concepts in Chassidus. So let's start with the general idea of Basi Legani Tafshin Yud, the whole idea of Basi Legani. The pasuk says, Basi Legani, Hashem says, I came to my garden. I came to my garden. The first point is that the world, as the Rebbe puts it, is not a jungle. The world is a garden. The world is a place which is made not just for people to be here and do whatever their heart desires, whatever seems to work out. And like an interesting thing that the Rebbe quotes in the Maimer of Tafshin Yud Zayin from the Rebbe Maharash, that it says in the pasuk, Avlas Adam Tisaliv Darkoi Val Hashem Yizaf Liboy, which means that Shlomo HaMelech, the wisest of all people, he says the foolishness of a person is what makes his way crooked, and then he gets angry at Hashem. And the Rebbe Maharash explains it. A person's here in this world, and he decides he wants things. He wants more and more and more. He's never happy with what he has. He's searching to fill his heart's desires, just to be there and enjoy. And in his search to enjoy, he runs around from one place to the other, and he's never happy and never satisfied. And what ends up happening is he has nothing. He doesn't even have the necessities that he needs. He doesn't even have the simple pleasure of living in this world and actually living a good life because he's too busy worrying about running around. And then he says, why does Hashem not help me? But really, it's his own foolishness that made his way crooked. If he didn't decide to search for the extras, if he didn't decide to go look for things that aren't necessary, he would be living a good life. And it's the same idea over here. The world is not a jungle. The world is not just a place where it's just about finding more and more and more. It's a garden. It's a place where we make pleasure for Hashem, where we cause a purpose and a goal of what it's all about. And that's Basi Legani. Hashem says, I have a garden, a place where I enjoy, a place where I can actually stroll and enjoy being together with the chosen one of all people, with a human being. And I want to be in this place. And Hashem says that through a person behaving in the wrong way, through a person behaving in a way that he shows as if the world is the reality and the existence is a reality, and therefore he doesn't take into account what Hashem wants in this world, then that causes the Shekhinah to leave this world. That causes Hashem's presence to leave this world. Because the human being who's the chosen one of all creations, who's here in order to make the world into a dwelling place for Hashem, he's chosen to not recognize Hashem's presence in this world. It makes Hashem not comfortable in this world, not be wanting to be here, and that causes Hashem's going up higher and higher to a different place. But even that, the going up in the end of the day is for a purpose, so that he can eventually come back down. And that's the idea of tzaddikim. Avraham, Zacha. Avraham merited. That's the word Zacha, but the word Zacha also comes from the word Zichus, of the word Zach. He refined the world. Avraham came into a world which was a jungle, where everyone just thought about themselves, where everyone just worshipped idols, which the idea of worshipping idols isn't just them bowing down to stone, but them not recognizing the true creator of the world. Avram came into this jungle world, and he refined the world. He went around publicizing not only that there is a creator who created the world, but that Keil Oilam, Hashem and the world are not two separate things. Hashem is actually part of the world. That's what Avram went around publicizing. That's what Avram Zacha, he refined the world, and in this way he brought the Shekhinah closer, etc., until Moshe, who's the seventh, and sevens are beloved, he brought it down here. Now, why especially Moshe? It's interesting because this year is also Oy Zayin of Basi Legani. 7 is special. What's special about 7? 7 There's 7 Sfiras, there's 7 days in the week, there's 7 years in a Shemitah, there's 7 Shemitahs in a Yovel. 7 is a cycle, 7 is a complete number. 7 brings things fully down into the completion of down here, and that's the idea of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are very great, but they're all up there. 7 is bring it down here into this world. Now, since the whole point is Gani, Hashem wants to come into a garden, into His garden, where He's down here in this world, where His presence is able to be one with the world. That's why 7 is such a special number. And that was the specialty of number 7, which is Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, in the general idea in Basi Legani, what the Frierdiker Rebbe explains is how every person does this. Every person, when he does his kafia and his hafcha, which means his Yetzer Hara tells him, just do it, it's fine, it doesn't matter. And he says, no. That no, that he tells his Yetzer Hara, no, there is an Eibishter and I'm going to change. I'm not going to do it the same way. He does it for himself. He teaches it to his children. There is such a thing called iskafia. Iskafia means, no, not everything I want I'm going to do. This saying, not everything I want I'm going to do, that's allowing Hashem's presence, allowing the reality. We're not trying to hurt ourselves over here. We're not masochists. We're not coming here to say, well, I want it, I'm not going to do it. But we're coming here to say, my existence isn't what it's all about. The Avodah Zarah isn't what it's all about. It's the reality of Hashem. Now, his kafia brings even more to his hafcha, and that's what the Frierdiker Rebbe in the Maimer explains at length. Now, the Rebbe, in the Maimer of Basi Legani, explains a very interesting thing, that just like Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, all of them brought it down. There's also 7 Rabbeim that brought it down. Which means that Rabbeim brought it down into the depth of the world. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, until Moshe Rabbeinu, they brought it down in the outer levels of the world. But the Rabbeim, through Torah Sachsidus, which is the premise of the Torah, they brought it down into the inside of the world until the 7th generation is Mashiach, which is bringing it down, making Hashem's presence be revealed in the world in a full way. Now, the amazing thing that there is that in the Maimer of the Frierdiker Rebbe, in the concept of the Frierdiker Rebbe's Basi Legani, it's the idea of all the previous generations up until ours, which is bringing down the spirit, whereas in ours, bringing down the essence. Now, what does that mean? So, we know that bringing down Hashem into the world is called, in the words of Kabbalah, of Chassidus, Yichud Kudsha Berichu Ushchinte, which means there's Kudsha Berichu. The word Kudsha Berichu in Aramaic or in Hebrew, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, means He's separate. He's holy. He's above the world. Baruch Hu is the way we draw Him down into the world. But He, by His existence, is godliness, is Hashem. He's beyond the world. The world is physical. He's spiritual. Shchinte, the Shechina means Shoichein, the presence of Hashem, the way it's down in this world, the way it comes into the world. Bringing the two together means connecting what's above the world and the way the Eibishter is in the world. Now, for this, the Rebbe comes now and says that when we say Iker Shechina B'Tachteinim Haisa, what does that mean? That in the very beginning of creation, there was the Iker Shechina, the main aspect of Hashem's presence was inside the world. Now, what does that mean, Iker Shechina? So in order to explain Iker Shechina, the Rebbe is going on to explain how each one of the Rabbeim explains the word Shechina. And the basic idea is that the difference between Kudsha Berichu and even Shechina and the idea of Iker Shechina is a very major difference. Kudsha Berichu, that's the spiritual world. That's like when we learn Torah, when we connect to feeling inspired and wanting to connect to Hashem in a way that I want to be spiritual, I want to be holy, I want to be separate. Shechina is the way Hashem's presence comes down into this world. That's in the world. And that's the difference between the previous 6 generations, where each one of the Rabbeim was bringing it down one level, another level, but they didn't bring it down here. It was all still in the sky. It was still there in the spiritual. And the final level of our generation, where it's bringing it down into here in the world, where in the physical things that I do, in my eating and drinking, it's not just I'm also being a good Jew and I'm davening, I'm learning, I'm connecting to Eibishter, how everything becomes a lakus. And that's the idea of Yemaisa Mashiach. Yemaisa Mashiach is Rochel Basar Yachdav, the physical flesh is going to see the reality of Hashem, how the fact that it's real in the world. Mashiach is bringing it into a Beis HaMikdash, into a physical place. So that's the idea of Shechina in general. But even Shechina, there's different levels of Shechina. There's still Shechina means Hashem's presence in this world, but it's still Hashem's presence. That's still not there in the Tachtonim. It's not Kuchabrichu, it's not above the world, but it's in the world, but it's still, we're talking about spirituality. We're still talking about spiritual feelings, spiritual connections, not about the Gashmias down here. Ikar Shechina, we say, is in the Tachtonim. It's not in the Elyonim. It's not in the sky. It's not in the one sky. It's not in the highest sky. It was originally in the beginning of creation in the Tachtonim, and our job finally, after taking it from one sky to the next, and that's why all the bringings, every time bringing the Shechina from one sky to the next, it was never the Ikar Shechina, because the Ikar Shechina is not in the sky. Ikar Shechina is something which is the presence of Hashem, the way it's one in this world. So that's the general idea, and that's what we're going to learn in Mitzvah Hashem as we go along with this Maimer. We're going to learn more how each one of the Rebbeim explains Shechina, but how that's still not it, and how each one, how we go from what level to level, but that's still only Shechina. But then there's Ikar Shechina, which Ikar Shechina means the main Shechina. What does that mean, the main Shechina? It's not just the difference between there's the secondary Shechina and there's the main Shechina. It means that Shechina is still a level which is a spiritual level. It's still a Gilui. Ikar Shechina, that's the essence of Hashem, which is specifically in the place where Hashem wants to be, which is inside this physical world. So that we're going to learn with Hashem in the coming days. So B'kitzer, the point of what we learned today in our practical lives is that we're Jewish. We want to do what Hashem wants because we're not in a jungle. We have a purpose. We have a goal. But on one hand, I could be Jewish in the spiritual things that I do, in my Torah that I learn, in the mitzvahs that I do, in my davening, in my once in a while getting inspired, if it's a fabrengen, if it's a niggin, if it's something to connect to Hashem, connect to the Rebbe, it's coming Yud Shvat, all that. Then there's something deeper, because that's not what I'm here for, only to have my spiritual life. But I'm here so that everything I do, everything I exist, my eating, my drinking, my sleeping, my enjoying myself, everything that I have in the day is all a lakus. It's all an expression of Hashem in this world. That's what will be revealed in the time of Mashiach. And that's the life that we have to live. And that's what we're going to learn in the Maimer. That's Basi Legani. That's the Eibishter saying, I came back to enjoy the world, not just the spiritual, not just the skies, but I came back to enjoy the world, which we'll learn with Hashem as we continue further. Shkoyach, Hatzlacha Rabba.